It's Jason here from Fraser Valley Rose Farm, and what I wanted to show you today is the Scots Rose. Now, like any wild rose that's been around for a while, it has a number of different names. I call it the Scots Rose, other people call it the Scotch Rose or the Scotch Burnet Rose, or even the Scotch Briar Rose. It has a distribution around Great Britain, Northern Europe, Western Europe, so it has a bunch of other names from different places that it comes from. Basically, it's a wild rose of rocky or sandy places, notably near seashores and that kind of thing. So it's a really tough rose. Grows in difficult places, sandy places. It's tolerant of shade as well, so a very useful rose. So I'll show you some of the characteristics here. You can see it's a 5-petaled rose. That's common of a lot of wild roses from around the world. This one is white with prominent yellow stamens in the middle, and I'll show you also, while we're here, with the leaves here. You can see that that leaf there is 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 leaflets, finely divided, small leaves, dark green, which gives it a really fine foliage effect in the garden. If you compare it to, say, this rose here, that's a more modern rose. It's only 3 times divided. You can see it has a much more coarse effect. So in terms of texture in the garden, definitely the Scots Rose has some advantages there. Next thing I'd maybe point out to you is behind the flower here is the fruit of the rose, which we call a hip. And on the Scots Roses, they have a really interesting ornamental feature of their hips. So they swell up a little bit from here, they move from green through red, and then start to burnish through brown, and finally settle on a dark black color in the landscape. The Scots Rose only blooms once in the year, and this is its bloom period. Here in my garden, it's sort of late May, early June, and it blooms for about 3 weeks, covers itself in blooms, and then it spends the rest of the season with the maturing of these hips. So that's the overall ornamental effect of the shrub, is that it's a fairly large shrub with a fine texture and with these flowers in early spring and ripening hips throughout the season. Now, given that it's such a useful rose in terms of being good in sandy places, dry places, and shady places, they've used the breeding of the Scots Rose in a number of other roses over the years, and so I thought I'd show you some of those now. This is a rose that has some Scots Rose ancestry in it. This is called Betty Will, an exceptional rose, actually one of my favorites in the garden this time of year. Has a long bloom period, 3 to 4 weeks, but it's also followed by other blooms throughout the year. It has the Scots Rose ancestry, so you can see in the leaves here, still finely divided, but larger leaves. It's picked up from other parents, sort of a reddish stem, and big pink blooms with an excellent scent, so lovely rose. And from that Scots Rose, it's picked up that shade tolerance, the tolerance of a wide variety of environmental conditions. So just a really tough, vigorous rose. I don't know if you can scan up there to see. Also a fairly large shrub in the landscape, so it's a really excellent one. The breeder, a gentleman named Robert Erskine, bred a number of roses using Scots roses and other tough wild rose ancestors out of Rocky Mountain House, Alberta, early in the 20th century, I believe. So I'll show you one more that he bred, and I don't know if I'll be able to show you any other Scots Rose relatives, but maybe I'll tack on some pictures as well. Another highly sought after rose called Prairie Peace, another Robert Erskine rose. You can see that what he's able to breed into this Scots Rose hybrid is a whole complex range of colors. He called it Prairie Peace, he said, because it reminded him of the most famous rose in the world, the Peace Rose, which has shades of pink and yellow in a larger hybrid tea rose. Obviously this is not a hybrid tea, but you can see that the coloring that he was looking at there, the pink on the outside of the flower with the yellow on the inside, was present, and not present very commonly in these Arctic ready roses. So this is an excellent hybrid of the Scots Rose. And once again, you can see those characteristic Scots Rose leaves on here. Finely divided, toothed edges, dark color, so it has the ornamental effect in the garden of the Scots Roses. Also the stature of the Scots Roses, the suckering habit of the Scots Roses, and you know, excellent example of what you can do with breeding out of that species. Okay, I wanted to show you a couple of other roses I clipped outside. My poor camera was having a hard time with the light and shadows and wind and all that out there. So I thought it'd be nice to show you these clippings here. This first one here is a Scots Rose relative called Hazeldean. You can see it has these big, sumptuous yellow blooms, and the shrub is absolutely covered in them right now. It's a small shrub in my garden, but can get quite large. And that is a parent plant of another bunch of Scots Roses, so fantastic plant there. This one here is an older hybrid, when it was kind of in fashion in Europe to breed with Scots Roses. It's called William III, sort of a hot pink color, and you see lots of blooms yet to come. This third one here is another Robert Erskine hybrid called Suzanne. One of his better known hybrids, has a soft pink color. It fades out a little bit for my tastes, but still quite a pretty rose. And just for fun, here's another rose that is not a Scots Rose, but perhaps a genetic relative, anyway, a wild rose called Austrian Copper. And it's important in the breeding of roses in that they used it to bring in some of those orange and yellow shades to modern roses. So that's a picture of some of the variations within the Scots Rose group. And thank you for watching this video today.